Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. This is Drew from Pi-Mania and I'm here today to talk a bit about the GPi Case 2. This is the version 2 of this little case that resembles a Game Boy, and yeah, I just want to show you some things that I've learnt over the last 3 weeks of using this device and hopefully help you get up and running with this little device and some improvements you can make and tips. So let's get started. Firstly, the GPi Case 2 runs off the tiny little Compute Module 4, just slots in the back. Now, first thing, whilst this is compatible with all the various types of CM4s that are out there, it is worth mentioning that the only version I would recommend is the light version, and you just need the 2 GB light version with no eMMC memory. And the reason why I say that is if you pick a model up with eMMC memory or storage, you will only be able to use the storage on the CM4. So if you buy an 8 GB CM4, you're stuck with that 8 GB, you can only use it. It won't allow you to use the SD card, which is also in this device on the rear. I'm not sure if they actually shows you it in this way, but yeah, there's an SD card slot in here too, and you can use that. If you get the light version of the CM4, and like I said, a 2 GB light version is enough for any of the emulation you're going to be wanting to do on here, then that's fine. If you've bought one with eMMC memory storage attached, then you're limited to the storage on the CM4. So yeah, it's true for Retroflag to say that it can support all of the CM4 versions, but in reality, why you'd want anything more than the 2 GB light version with or without Wi-Fi would be up to you, but with Wi-Fi just makes things a lot easier, and you also get to use Bluetooth then if you get the Wi-Fi model. That's the version that I am going to recommend that you get. So that said, you've got your GPi case, you've managed to find somewhere, and at the time I'm making this video I know it's pretty scarce, but they are still out there somewhere. CM4, then you're going to want to start creating an image, and the image is made, as most images for these Retroflag or RetroPie even, is made on an SD card. And I'm going to show you how I did that and how I got around and got this thing up and running at first, because obviously I tried a few of my own images and they just failed. Even with the patches on, I run into trouble when I was doing other stuff. There's a lot of stuff that is in pre-built images that's just going to cause you problems here, I think. So I do feel it's best to create your own image, and with something like this it's going to be quite personal to you, so you'd have control of what goes on the device basically. So, and it may seem daunting if you've not made one before, but it's actually really very easy, and Raspberry Pi have made this very easy with their Raspberry Pi Imager. So let me take you to this tab, which shows you the raspberrypi.com/software. Now you can download this imager for Windows, Mac, Ubuntu, even for Pi, although you're going to need an operating system running on a Pi to get it to work, but it's all possible. For all intents and purposes today, I've got the Windows one, I've got a Windows machine here, and I'm using the Windows one. So let me just switch to the imager to show you what it looks like when it's running. Okay, it looks like this. So there we have it. We have the Raspberry Pi imager running. clear those out. Actually, let me shut that down. And I'm gonna run it again. Raspberry Pi Imager, let's start it up. Yes. Okay, what you would do here, choose OS. Now there's lots of other OSs down here, so if you haven't used this tool before, this Raspberry Pi Imager, I mean, I do use a lot of other ones too, but this one does have a lot of things built into it that are definitely worth taking a look. For today, we just want to go into Emulation and Game OS, and we're going to go for RetroPie. And then when you're here, you've got different versions. And the version I've gone with for this is the Pi 4 version. Now my SD card that I'm going to put in the GPi Case 2 is already on my PC, so I'm going to choose storage. And that's my SD card. Now I'm not going to write it here because obviously I've written it, but that's all there is to it really. You can write it. And yeah, once that's all done, you're still not quite ready though, because by default nothing will be seen on the screen. And just to jump back to the GPi Case 2 again, to jump back to yeah, in here your CM4 kind of sits in here, and they do kind of show there's a drawing on this backboard here to tell you which way round it goes, because it would pretty much fit in there either way. But you match up the drawing with the CPU, etc., and the Wi-Fi chip, I think it is over here, to the layout, the drawing on the board, which you can't quite see there. Now when you push this thing in, it's obviously your space is limited there, but you want to push in from the bottom first. Now when you do push down on it, on the ones I've done maybe 2 or 3 now, there's an audible click. So it will click when that bottom panel is, because they don't actually show you there, and I should show you. No, they don't show you. On the rear of here, you've got like a board connector on the top and bottom, and that will click in to the connectors inside the GPi case. Now push the ones in at the bottom first. If you can get your fingers in there with 2 fingers, just push down to hear a click, and then click at the top, push in and click. Because that's one of the main problems I think I've seen looking around on forums, people saying I've got a black screen, it doesn't boot, it's not working. It's just purely that this isn't seated. Now I'm seeing that people are undoing the screws as well, taking this front or rear fascia off to make sure that that's seated properly. And yeah, if you believe you've clicked it in and you're still having trouble, and that is definitely something to look at, to taking off this rear cover to make sure it is definitely seated. But I've had no trouble getting them in there. Now I know this little one, push this rear one in first, and I did too. I fell for the same issue, if you like, that I'd clicked it in, it was clicked in at the top, it wasn't clicked in fully down the bottom, and I couldn't get anything other than a black screen. So yeah, but once I clicked it in down the bottom, away I went. So anyway, I think I've gone on about there and harped on enough to let you know how important that is. Make sure this CM4 is seated in here. Okay, so once that's in there and you've got your image created, there's a couple of things you need to get this case up and running. One is the display patch. That's the first one to go for. So yeah, you can just click it. I've obviously got it. It gives you a zip file, and that zip file, yeah, once you unzip the zip file, you get these 4 folders here. Now again, just to digress a little bit, everyone, you may be looking at this thinking, hey, what is this file explorer? This is on a PC. Yes, it is on a PC, and this little file explorer is called Files, I believe it's called. Yeah, just called Files. Here is where you can get it from: github.com/files-community/files. And it's actually available in the Microsoft Store, and I believe that's where I got it from. Look for this little icon. There's a lot of little add-ons on apps, if whatever you want to call them, called files. But this is the one with this icon that I'm using back here. So let's just go back to it. Okay, so let's go back to this tab. Like I say, we've got the RetroPie folder here. We extracted from the GPi Case 2 patch.zip that you download from here. And you do literally copy that over to, if I go to the root, my SD card, you can see I've just copied the whole folder in there. And once you've copied it in there, on a PC, you can go in there and you need to double click the install patch.bat. And I'll do it just so you can see. Makes some files, it does some bits, press any key to continue. Everything was good, and you can tell that it was good because when you go back to the top level of your SD card, you will have config_HDMI and LCD, and these are just different configurations depending on whether you're in docked mode rather, HDMI connected, or whether you're in a handheld mode. Now, I do just want to say a little something about this dock. There is two versions of this GPi Case 2 available. You can actually get it without the dock and with the dock. Now, the dock itself adds about $10 to $15 to the overall price, and I don't really understand why you'd want to buy it without the dock. Maybe, yeah, I just can't think of a reason off the top of my head anyway. But with the dock, it does make this thing pretty useful because you can take it away with you, play on the go. You get about 4 to 6 hours out of the battery. It's a 4,000 milliamp battery in there, so it does last a fair bit of time. Or you can come home, you can connect it to the dock, and you can play on your TV, monitors, whatever you've got it hooked up to, HDMI in here. The dock does need to be powered. That's just a standard Raspberry Pi power. And even though they say as well the HDMI output 720p or 1080p, for me, I found it defaults to 720p, but I will show you later how you can flick that to 1080p permanently. And once you're hooked up to a monitor, obviously, you can flick it to 1080p and it will stay that way. So that'll be coming. I'm not sure if I do that right now or whether I'll do it in another video. Let's see how we go. So anyway, keep moving on. You've got the dock and you've got the case. You've run the script. So I would suggest now you hook the GPi Case 2 up once you've run that batch file. And let's just go back to it to make sure. Yep, you've copied the patch onto your SD card. Double click the install patch onto the, but you will also see, I will show you just something else that I did. One, I made a file on here. It's, I think on the normal file explorer you can just right click and create a new text file, but on here I just click make new file, and I made one called, where is it, Wi-Fi key file.txt, all lowercase, exactly like that. Now if you make this file and you just add 2 lines in it, SSID equals, and you put your Wi-Fi network name in here, and yes, it is case sensitive, so you know, you just look at your home name. You'd look at your Wi-Fi's or what's around you, yeah, and you just type them in here. Your PSK equals, and again, case sensitive, exactly the same. Type your password for your home network in here. It just makes importing that Wi-Fi. You won't need to have a keyboard attached if you don't have a keyboard attached, or it's an easy way basically to set up your Wi-Fi, which you're going to want to do if you've got a CM4 Lite with Wi-Fi or a CM4 model with Wi-Fi, this is an easy way to connect it to your Wi-Fi without typing in and without needing a keyboard for this bit. So yeah, let's close that. So that's for the Wi-Fi side. I also created one more file here. Again, I just created, or you can either right click on the normal file explorer. Actually, let's open a normal one up, shall we? It's PC. I think it's right click over here and you could go new, text document. Yeah. And I just changed this to .sh. But this is the one, that's how you do it on the standard one, but let's just go back to this. Yeah, whatever. Boom. Get back here. GPi2.sh. Now what this does is, like I said, those two files you need here to get this GPi case running. One is the display patch, and the second one is for the safe shutdown functions. Because you don't just want to be turning this thing off and on. Obviously the SD card will corrupt at some point if you did, so you're gonna need this script. Now if you click on that link, I'm just going to show you what it tells you to do to get this. Now it tells you to plug a keyboard in, press F4 and type this whole command. Now chances of you getting it right when you're typing that in, first of all, is without typos is pretty low. So what I did is I just highlighted it all and I copied it, and I went back to here, and this is a text file I created, and I can open this. I'm going to open it with, I have Notepad Plus. You can use ordinary Notepad here, but I'm going to use Notepad Plus. So let's open it, and I pasted that in. So that's the whole line there that I've taken from there. That's it. I'm going to save it. Yes. Boom. So now I can see it was 0. Now it's 117 bytes size. So yeah, that just makes it. What I'm going to do is this now is I can run this script when the Pi is booted to action that command. So what have we done? We've imaged. We've got a fresh bare bones image of RetroPie. We've applied the GPi Case 2 patch. We've created this little text file, and we've added our Wi-Fi name and password in here to make it easier to connect to our Wi-Fi. And we've created this little text file here, which contains the other command, which puts in the shutdown commands for the GPi2 case in here. So yeah, it's quite a bit to get you going. So say right now, when you're at that stage, you should be able to boot this thing, and then you can import that the Wi-Fi key to connect to your home Wi-Fi, and then we can get the other script installed, which we'll do in the next video. So that's where we are for now. That's part 1. I hope you've at least found that useful, or someone finds this part useful. I didn't just want to jump into the more advanced stuff until we get the basics out of the way. Yeah, so that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and catch you in part 2. Sorry, what? Yeah, that's it. Yes, you can stop filming now.